Homeopathy and dietary restrictions. People say we are taking homeopathy medicine, so we should not take onion, garlic, tea, coffee, etc. Doctor, what do you say? I'll quote Samuel Hahnemann first, what he has said. He said, softest tones of a distant flute that in the still midnight hours would inspire a tender heart with exalted feelings and dissolve it in a religious ecstasy, while the same are inaudible and powerless amid discordant cries and noise of the day. Aphorism 259, Organon of Medicine. What does it mean? The meaning he explains in the aphorism 260. He says, homeopathy medicines being minute in dose, which is necessary and proper for the treatment of a chronic disease, it should not be given an obstacle in the diet which it can overcome. And what are the things that may create that may work as an obstacle in the cure? He has given a very long list of the substances in the footnote of aphorism 260. What he has written? He has written tea, coffee, herbal drink, the tea containing herbal substances, ingredients, the soup with the spicy ingredients, the spicy chocolates, the flavored cakes, the scented toothpaste, many things, the garlic, onion, etc. etc. This is what Hahnemann had said. But now, at present era, how do you find? If you look at that different successful homeopaths, what do they say? Dr. Rajan Sankaran of Bombay, one of the eminent homeopaths of this day, he says that in the initial years of my practice, I would be very strict to put these dietary restrictions, everything the patient has to follow. If any patient doesn't follow, then I would get angry and I strictly say, I will not see you anymore. I refuse to treat the patient. But later on, I softened my stand and I found there is no such thing that to be put as dietary restrictions, and I allowed many things to be taken by the patient. Dr. J.B. De Castro, the Chandigarh-based homeopath, who was my first employer in the year of 2001. I have worked in his college under him. So he said that in the initial years of my practice, I used to print a booklet and hand over to the patient that such and such things A to Z, starting from toothpaste up to the mutton, chicken, etc., you should not take. Look at the belief of Dr. Vitolkas, Greece. He says that coffee he has found to be an antidote for homeopathic treatment. Always he advises patients not to take. If you talk about Dr. J.T. Kent, the European homeopath, whom we say the second personality after Hahnemann, a lot of literatures he has contributed to the homeopathy. He said that there is nothing such as called dietary restrictions. Only from the constitutional point of view, if some patient has some problem with any substance, then he should not be allowed. For example, with the milk, if someone gets bloating of stomach, then he should not be given that. Like this restrictions he was following. So broadly, if you will see, the homeopaths you can divide into two categories on the dietary restriction concept. One category says that everything we should restrict which has got a medicinal quality in it. While the other group is there who says that from the disease point of view or from the constitutional point of view, whatever dietary restrictions required, we should follow that. In my clinical practice, I have also experienced the same as the later category believes. For example, a person with peptic ulcer, stomach ulcer, duodenal ulcer, cannot be allowed to take spicy food every now and then. how the ulcer will heal then. A person with asthma cannot be allowed to take ice cream, chilled food and drink every now and then. Then how the lungs will, how the respiratory tract will become strong if you keep on doing that. If a person is suffering from cirrhosis of liver, he cannot be allowed to consume alcohol. A person who is having higher creatinine level, uric acid higher, and every day he wants the non-veg to eat, then how he will recover? A person of diabetes cannot be cured until unless the excess amount of sugar intake is restricted. A patient of cholesterol, every day if you keep on taking deep fried things, then whatever amount of medicine you take, it's of no use. Is it that once the person has such and such disease, then throughout the life he should be avoiding all these things, restrictions he has to follow? Not really. See, for example, you have a container having milk. You have another container having some water. Now, if you pour this milk into the water, then it will totally merge with the water. You cannot distinguish. But instead of doing that, you churn this milk and you take out the butter. Now this butter you take and put it in the container having water. What do you find? Will the butter merge with the water? No. It will rather float on the water. It will challenge the water and win over it. Once the milk has taken the form of butter, then that is the time when it can challenge the water, but not the milk form. Similarly, as long as the disease is there, you have to follow such mild restrictions. Unless you do that, you cannot recover from your disease with the best given medication. And once you have reached to a safe position, safe place, the disease is very least or minute it has become or totally gone, that is the time when you can take the restricted food substances, whatever you have been advised not to take earlier. So this much we definitely have to do.